Oh, hey, is that your writing notebook? I'd love to see what's inside. Wait, are you writing on top of other words? Is that a drawing of me? Hello, friends! My name is Elizabeth, and today I thought I would give you a tour of my unhinged writer's notebooks. You know, writer's notebooks, they get this reputation for being like aesthetic and idealized and like something you would do if you were sitting in a field of daisies somewhere. But that's not what mine are. I have written 6 novels. I'm currently working on the second draft of my 6th novel. I have used a writer's notebook for approximately 4 of those novels. First novel I wrote. First writer's notebook. And then the next 2 novels, they didn't get any handwritten notes because, you know, who needed them? And then 2 novels, handwritten notes. My 6th novel that I'm currently working on, handwritten notes, and you're going to get to see all of them, and then you're going to wish you hadn't. Because I do not take notes for my novels like some well-mannered schoolgirl who carefully crafts each letter in her notebook in order to be able to make sense of it later. I just write as the thoughts happen. Most of the time, the thoughts are chaos. They're messy. They end up on the paper, you know, and they look slightly off of English, and you never get to know what they are yet. But that's just how it works for me. That's how I write. So I would like to dispel the myth that writer's notebooks are so lovely and fanciful and neat and like something you pass down for posterity, full of like, I don't know, twigs and clippings and little drawings of things in watercolor. That's definitely not what's happening in my writer's notebook. Do I go back and use the notes from them? You know, sometimes. Sometimes I don't because it's chaos and I get scared and I don't want to look at the pages again. But you know, sometimes it's useful to just work through your thoughts on paper even if you never return to it. And that is how I use my writer's notebooks. So, here we go, starting at the beginning. My first novel, 10 years ago, I was using this. So for this first novel, the way I used the notebook was I would write down quick, fervent scene ideas in the hopes that it was actually true genius of literary merit, and I would become, you know, wealthy and successful and known as a writer for these ramblings. So let's check out the ramblings. This first novel, for context, was a young adult fantasy written in first person. Here we go. I get chosen to participate in games run by the people controlling the car that I've heard really bad things about. I hear it's to the death. I go. It's night, and we're on the destroyed asphalt of an abandoned grocery store. The game I have to play is flicking small pieces of asphalt through a small concrete block. There is another guy there, in his mid-20s, with long dark hair. He's tall. He tells me not to worry. These games mean nothing. I tell him my fears of to the death. He says no, and besides, he's really good at this game, that it's a 1 in a 500 shot. He tells me each pin he flicks, he makes it in. I believe him. I secretly feel I'm really good at this game too. Better than him, and I don't know why. I think all my pins have gone in, but the judge tells us neither of us have made any. The man loses his temper and gets disqualified. Very, friendly for being a match to the death. So I get 2 more shots. The first goes too far. The second is too short, and then it's over, and I can't believe I didn't win it. I panic, thinking I'm going to be burnished. The judge tells me that my first one went through. What? So this was the plot of my first novel. You can understand why it was not published. I did query it, though. I queried all of these novels. I go home, but over a year passes, and I don't hear from them. Our house has gotten much, much nicer, but I still threw up all the time, and there are still rats everywhere. And then we skipped 2 novels. I don't know why I didn't take notes for those novels, or else I did and I burned them or something. I don't remember. But yeah, those 2 next novels have no notes. And then we get to the 4th novel. My 4th, 5th, and 6th novel. I do have notes. I'm still using these notebooks actively. This is not like a roast of my past self. This is my roast of my current self, because this is how I still take notes for my current novel. I'm actively doing it as we speak. So, you might think, 3 notebooks, 3 novels, you take 1 notebook per novel. Haha, you would be wrong. I'm going to go through all 3 of these novels, but we're going to have to go through them all at once because all 3 novels have notes. I mean, all 3 notebooks have notes for all 3 novels. There is no organization, not an iota of organization. You need to know that. First, we'll start off with a little prologue idea I jotted down for a book I never wrote. I don't remember what this idea was, but I thought I would share. Prologue. Younger sister to up-and-coming singer. Keeps getting left behind at concert venue. So runs away and ends up in which school? There was a theme of this. I'll show you. Later on in the same notebook is a little tiny sketch, and it goes, school dance, something has gone wrong, travel to a new planet. You know, as one does. That's all the notes that are there. Oh, it looks like there are actually some little drawings in here. Ah, so what's fun? What is this, a little garlic? A chickpea? This is snuggly, happy faces. I guess I do some drawings in here. That's nice. Guess there weren't any notes in that notebook for my current or written past novels. That was just some random notes, apparently. See, this is the list I'm currently working from. I just made this in my past vlog. My scene organization list for the second half of my novel. So on this page, we got a to-do list. We got some song descriptions of songs I heard on the radio, or, you know, iTunes, or wherever it is I was listening to music. I don't use either of those venues for listening to music. Oh my, where do I actually listen to music? YouTube. There we go. And then this little list, I'm not sure what this was a list of. Ranger, healer, party face, defender, striker, detective. What? Here we got notes on how to make a good villain. Important. Power, motivation, history of evil. Surround villain with uncertainty. Can't predict what they'll do next. Unpredictable. In case you didn't understand what can't predict what they'll do next meant. My current story is a puzzle mystery, so I do use these notebooks to develop the puzzles. This one, for example, I laid out a 48-word clue. What was I thinking? That's too long. So then on this page, we have the description of the endings of several novels. I think this was just part of my thought process of trying to figure out how to end a novel. You know, I was looking at the last lines of certain novels. That's what I do, you know, when I'm thinking, when I'm processing how to write a novel. I write it down in my notebook. You know, I go through, I look at books that I've enjoyed reading, and I write down little bits of them in order to remind myself, you know, this is how you end a novel. You know, you got the Da Vinci Code, The Two Princesses of Bamar, One of Us is Lying, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, The Inheritance Games. All right here before you. Then you got several blank pages, you know, because who needs things to be in order? That's how people understand what you're writing. We don't need that in this notebook. Then we've got a breakdown of the beat sheet for Save the Cat. Helpful to have on hand. I wrote it down in my notebook. Then I tried to apply it to the book I was planning. This is the book I'm currently writing. But for some reason, see here, look at the midpoint. I wrote C's Rue Die as the midpoint. That's the midpoint for the Hunger Games. And yet, for some reason, I wrote it down here on my timeline for this novel that I'm currently writing. Why did I do that? I don't know. And then here we got the solutions to one of the puzzles in the book. If you can figure this out, good on you. Looks like animal crackers down there at the bottom. Alright, so here we have the theme for my previous novel. The novel that I have just finished querying that nobody wanted. But I still like that novel. But the theme was the cost of submitting to a domineering parent versus the cost of defying them, and how the various characters choose to react. It's a pretty good theme for a novel. And see, on the first page of this notebook that I was just reading from that had the theme for my previous novel, we have lists of potential names for characters in my current novel. Because nothing's in order. When I take notes, I don't just go to the next blank page. I pick any page, anywhere. Beginning, front, middle, you know, upside down, right side up. Book margins that don't even have lines for my own writing in them. I write literally anywhere. I'll write on the surface of my desk. It doesn't matter. There's no organization. Not one little bit. There should be. It would be helpful, but there's not. We got a list here going down of potential first names. Alexandra, Agnes, Eleanor, Francois, and then potential last names. Breyer, Klaus, Fester, Boggs, Eggleston. You know, this is how I think for my novels. Not sure what this is. I'm not sure if I was trying to write like a spell or something. Candle burning night and wick saving days. That sounds like the start of a spell. I kind of like it. Might use that. Don't use it. Don't steal it. Just kidding. So then we flip some more pages and we got the scene list for my draft 2 that I've been working on. The scene list that I've come to so far. So every time I finish a scene, I write the scene on the scene list. That's that list. The other list I was talking about was the list I just crafted of what scenes I think are left. These are the scenes that I've already done. Then we got some written words written in cursive for some reason. Not sure about that. I don't write in cursive very often. Let's see what I was trying to say here. Dinner, chaos, fear, troll. Leave because they have to. What could that possibly be referring to? I don't know. There's no context. It's written in cursive, which probably means something, but I don't remember. Then we got some timestamps for my YouTube videos. A bunch of those. Oh, I wrote down my favorite writing craft YouTube channels. Usually these are film criticism channels that I enjoy. Filmento, The Closer Look, Just Right, Hello Future Me, and Lessons from the Screenplay. You should check them out if you haven't already. I mean, they're very popular channels, but they're very good. And then we got some notes I took before I started my YouTube channel about how to make YouTube videos. Lean into camera! Exclamation point. Face, trying to hold back a laugh. First 30 seconds matters most. Don't introduce yourself. Well, I already blew it. I mean, dang. And then in the middle of these YouTube notes, the YouTube notes are on this page and they continue on to the next page, but in the middle I wrote, to feel safe in the story, not too disturbed, the viewer gets to see themselves as their morality in the protagonist. I think that's referring to fiction writing and not making YouTube videos, but again, I have no idea what that even means or where that came from. I assume I heard it somewhere and I wrote it down thinking it was useful information. But now I don't know. It's lost to time, you know, but it's relic, the fossil of it remains here in my notebook. You know, it would probably help these notebooks to look a little bit less insane if I didn't have the handwriting of an up-and-coming serial killer. But you know, I just do. I can't help it. I believe it was my video on creating fantasy house maps, which was a good one. A fun video, by the way, if you haven't watched it, where I talked about how when I was in high school, I hope you can't hear it, but you know, I'm just gonna have to continue this video with the lawnmower background noise because I don't want to have to stop filming now and start filming again later. So, anyway. Back in high school, people used to tell me I wrote like Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which means I have the handwriting of a 12-year-old boy. It's only gotten worse. I mean, you look at this and it looks like a manifesto. This is just some wild handwriting. I don't even try to stay in the lines. I don't start writing on the lines. I start writing at the very top of the page before the lines begin. You know, trying to get every last little morsel of paper, even though I have lots of paper that I could use. Oh, and here we have a neat little summary that I did. Here, I'll cover up my character names. But I wrote down the primary personality trait of each of the characters, and it was very useful to try to figure out, you know, what their personality traits are, and you know, what personality traits they might still need. For example, this poor third character only has one personality trait, and that is stern. If I can make it clear, this is for the characters in the book that I am currently writing. This, you know, this little note here at the very end of this notebook. And then we have a page of math. Why was I ever doing so much math? And here I have written the alphabet, apparently, in case I forget what it is. Helpful, always helpful. What makes National Treasure so good? Here I am asking the real questions. So, to sum up, writing notebooks are a little bit of a window into the writer's mind. Mine are insane. You know, that's just how I take notes. But, if you also take notes the way that I do, I would love to know that I'm not alone, and that this is how you take notes also for your novels. And, you know, I actually do refer to these notebooks sometimes. You know, not all the time. Sometimes I take the notes just for the heck of it, you know, never to be seen again. But sometimes I actually do use them, and it's very helpful. I promise.